to this post recording, or if you are listening to this live, this is our second test episode that we are currently doing right now to kind of figure out our shit. No, it's we have been trying since last year to really try to get, you know, honed in on the streaming schedule and podcasting schedule, but with the chaos of our business, if you've been following our business, Gamers Heaven, for a while, you guys know, it is a bit of a turmoil going on right now, not just with us, but just the entire industry. And so everyone's kind of going through this major restructuring period right now and kind of figuring their things out right now. And for us, on top of the other things that we've been dealing with at the store, streaming, podcasting, and the digital community and platforms, something that we've been really pushing to really get cleaned up. And so this new series, so we've been recording and posting some of the podcast stuff in the past and for the past few months here, but this reset that we're doing with the MISO 8 podcast, we will talk about the name later on. But we'll talk about that later on here. But that's, if you guys are watching the video, that's this person right here. No, the sticker on the sheet, Amy. Sorry, my business partner's next to me, and she's just like, why are you staring at me for? And by the way, in this recording or post video, depending on how she is, she might step in, so you guys might hear her come in for a brief moment in time here. But next week, we're going to be talking about Solo Leveling, the season finale. So we'll make sure that's a part of it. The other side of the stream is set, so we can talk about it there and stuff. But once again, if you guys are joining us here live today, the format that we're testing out for right now, and this will evolve later on, for the first hour or so, I'm going to be talking about a few topics that I had planned and want to talk about. And then for the second hour or so afterwards, depending on how the conversation is going, I will be pretty much just answering questions live. So I'll be taking your questions live on the Purple app specifically, but mainly our Patreon members as well too. And eventually it will just be Patreon members during these live recordings, because we want to make sure we narrow it in, but also even upgrade to eventually letting people call in, so we can actually speak to individuals for the conversations and topics that they may have. And so will this just be Gamers Heaven related? It will be it'll be everything. It's because the biggest thing that I want to emphasize is that not just me, but the business that we created, the community and the environment we created, it's everything, guys. Everything: fandom, nerd, comic, game, anime, weeb, otaku, cosplay, life, pure people, business. I want it to be about everything. And so hopefully, and you guys will see this as we continue on the weeks and we start getting more and more consistent, we will start bringing in our other members, other business partners, other employees, and most importantly, guests via our friends in the overall community. We'll be bringing them in and so forth. So with that said, though, let's kind of get started here with my topic of choice. And that is, why do I cross-dress? I'm just kidding. No, actually, I do want to start with that because lately, it's not just friends and family now. It is now general people in the community who are genuinely concerned. They're like, why is he cross-dressing so much? Is this what he's trying to do? Is he that desperate? There's all these other comments that come out and everything. Ultimately, that is going to be really annoying. I'm just kidding. No, so we both have mechanical keyboards. So it's going to be, no, you're fine. No, you're actually fine. You're actually fine. We're doing this live. No, for those that might be genuinely confused, you're listening to this and you probably have seen videos of me cross-dressing as this character who is next to me if you're watching the post-VOD video. The pink hair, either in the Lolita dress or maid outfit or just in the t-shirt. There's the other week was the Espeon costume. Just know that whenever you guys see me or any of my team members, and it's not them, it's mainly me anyway, I'm always challenging the community. But when you guys see me doing a spicy challenge, a pain challenge, whether it's waxing my eyebrows or eventually doing the period simulator or getting tased by my local police department, yes, those are tiers that we have placed for future goals and stuff. Or yes, and obviously the cross-dressing that I do and stuff. So I guess that'll be drag, right? Technically what I'm doing. Technically what I'm doing is drag. I'm doing, by the way, I need people to understand, my soul dies every time I do it. Like it's a part of me is dying inside. Not that I'm against it or anything like that. It's I'm embarrassed as hell doing it. Um, I especially like I've been trying to time it around where we aren't. It's either we're not open in the store or it's super late. Like the one night that I did it, um, I purposely did not go to the bathroom for like 8 hours just so I could avoid seeing people. Like what?
Cross-dressing, when we put more exaggerated eye makeup on you, which can be a new goal, then it's drag.
Okay, well, the main point that I was trying to talk about here before she wonderfully distracted, you told me it was dragon, it's not dragon. Then either way, when you guys see me doing it, it is a full send. I fully commit to you guys and everything, but it's I am just like I'm embarrassed, guys. Like what is like I know people. It doesn't help that my wife enjoys the shit out of it. She's the if you guys ever played Final Fantasy VII, the remake when you know the Honey Bean scene where Aerith is just watching Cloud start to transform into his dress form, and then Aerith is just like, oh, like she's like she gets all excited. That's my wife. That is my wife to the T. And even my wife, every time I see her, she's like, "But you're so pretty. You should do it again for me." I'm just like, ah, yes. Um, but ultimately, I do it because not because I enjoy it, because you guys enjoy it. There are people in this community from all walks of life that enjoy watching me suffer. um, but with that said, though, just know that whenever you see me doing any of those things, so whether it's the drag, the cross dressing, painful challenges, again, the spicy videos, it's because something good happened. So whether that was a financial goal, a sales goal, or follower goal, or in the most recent case, a sub goal, these are all benchmarks that the community has been hitting. And obviously, ways for us to then reinvest dollars and resources back into the very community that we're doing it for. So, prime example of that is the Patreon membership. So, if, I would be doing a shout out for all you guys in the end here, but there are people who support us via Patreon, the memberships, and those monthly resources that we get, we fully dedicated to reinvesting into the stream side of the business. And if you guys have been following us for a while, at least on the live stream side of things, the quality and the equipment and the layout and the execution has been getting better and better and better in the weeks that we have been able to reinvest. So not just from equipment, but from timing and resources, we've been doing better on that end. Um, it's the same thing for the subs on some of the other apps across the board, and gift donations. All of that money we have committed to making it. So when I say we give it to all to the staff, we really do, because what we do with that money that we get from all the social media channels, so everything from the subs, the gift donations, the bit donations, we put that into a pool. And then we go ahead and make sure that's set aside as like a rainy day fund for the staff members. So if there's ever a week where the store was slow, or you know, God forbid, weather related things happen, and we're behind on our income, and we may potentially be behind on payroll, boom, we have that money to go in and take care of them. And then if there's ever an excess amount, like we've experienced in the past, we either give it to them in form of bonuses or get them gifts that they normally wouldn't get outside of what they would normally do. So, for example, we are all living week to week, you know, paycheck to paycheck right now. You know, we're all kind of going through this together right now. But God forbid something happens to one of their cars, or they need something, right? And they, you know, they need to then dig deeper to go. It's like instead of doing that, I set this aside. So like, hey, do you need to get your battery repaired? Here's the money to take care of that, so you don't have to worry about that. Oh no, you had to go to an ER for something. Here's that money for the ER to take care of that, so you don't have to worry about that. Or even on the other side of things that they want, right? For example, like a game system or a new dress, a new cosplay, or a new card game, right? But they normally won't buy because they want to save their money and stuff. Then I will use that money to get it for them. I think the best example I have is one of my managers here. He, you know, he's been working very hard for the last now 4 years with us, and he is the hardest person to get a gift for. I'm going to tell you that right now. For him, all he asks is for a consistent schedule and just consistency, in which we have been doing our best for and stuff. But the other day, I just realized he was one of the biggest, Legend of Zelda fans, and so I went and got him. This is last year, if you guys remember, but I got him the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Nintendo Switch OLED edition, and he's been loving it. Got him, like, again, like, sometimes for gifts, and I think society has kind of forgotten about it. It's just like, especially when you buy for friends and family, if you get something, so if you truly have a good relationship with them, then you know that if there's something that they've been looking at, wanting to buy, right, for themselves, but they don't, because they have responsibilities. So in my case, I have a wife and children to take care of. I have a business to take care of. So I can't be going out and doing these, these crazy expenditures. But then if someone knows that of me, they're like, hey, I noticed that, you really like this, so I got this for you. Like, that gift means so much, because it is something that you've wanted, that you never would have gone out to get in yourself, and you're someone else is treating you. So that is what that money goes towards too. So I'm sorry that I tangented from my original answer, but just know that, guys, like, again, like, that's where all the live gift subs, the live bit donations and gift donations on all the apps, that's where it's going towards. And if you ever question that, come into the store. You can talk to my staff directly, and they will let you guys know. And so, it's all out there. We have receipts for everything. So, there is that. Because ultimately, guys, I want to do my best to take care of my team, because without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do today, right? Someone just commented, I should rename the podcast to Tangents with Andrew. That is so true, because you start off with one topic, and I'll go off on like multiple tangents, because like, oh, this is relevant and that's relevant, but that's just kind of how I am. That's why conversations with me can go on hours. Or I can literally monologue for an hour or so. But this is why I'm doing a podcast, guys. But no, it's if you guys ever see me doing it, it's because, once again, the most recent stream that I did in the Espeon Romper with Miso-chan was because we hit 1,000 subs over on the Purple app. I'm saying this because I'm also recording live on TikTok right now, and they don't want you to talk about the other places, but we hit 1,000 subs in less than a few weeks. That's an incredible achievement. And so I did it for that one. And we have other ones set for financial goals on our website, investments and sales and so forth, that, anytime you guys see me doing it, that's money that we have now raised to then reinvest back into the community, back into the store, back into our rebuild process. Like, everything is moving forward. So the more, and I just want you guys to understand, I keep upping the bar. I went from 100 subs to 1,000. All right. It was a 1,000. No, sorry. It was a 10x. So it was a 1,000% increase that I did from the previous goal, and they hit that. So now it's even a further increase before I do it again. But like, once again, the more, like, if you guys see me doing those things, it's because something good happened. And so the one thing I will let you guys know too is I've become less and less embarrassed doing it, because it's not that I'm doing it so often that I'm getting used to it. It's because it's a good thing. Why should I be embarrassed? Be proud. Like, I'll put it this way: how many of you would then be like, "Oh my God, I would never wear a wig and makeup for 1,000 subs. Where's the wig?" Like, how many people would do that? So it's, it's going from there. And so, that's kind of what it is there. And so, once again, like, the things that I do for this community, even facing my fears and stuff like that, it's because ultimately, like, you can say it's for views, you can say it's, you're just trying to get things, what, fine. But it's doing it so I can serve the overall community better, so that I can serve my team, I can take care of my family while servicing this entire community. And so there's multiple things we're going, and ultimately we are growing this amazing group of people. So it's tenfold. So we're doing that. But with that said, though, let me now transition into my main topic that I was originally going to start with, actually, and that is scheduling and business. So no matter what you're doing, whether you're running your own business, your own channel, whatever you're doing, You need to actually make a schedule for yourself. If you want to if you want to accomplish a certain task or see your business through or to give your business every possible chance to succeed, you need a schedule. And this is not, and there are going to be people who are going to comment here. Oh, excuse me. There are people who are going to comment here during the live stream that I'm a 1000% hypocrite in this because scheduling does not exist for me, apparently. But I'm trying to change that because in the past, and I know a lot of people, a lot of you, and by the way, it's not just scheduling. It could be execution of projects or starting something or whatever it is. You're always making excuses for yourself. And I am no different. Okay. And I am not absolved from this either. Because a lot of you will sit there and be like, well, you have a valid excuse. You have a wife and kids you got to take care of. You have a business to take care of. You have legal issues. You have business matters. You have, you're in the middle of restructuring and stuff. You're streaming all the time. You have to process orders. I have a lot on my plate. There's a lot of things I got to do. But that's still no excuse not to get a schedule made. Well, my days are changing on a daily basis. I know that's fine, but you still need to have a base foundation. A lot of you might also say too, well, don't you start your own job or career so you can get out of a schedule like that? It's like, no. If you want to succeed, you need to start balancing your life. Now, in the beginning, you may have all the time in the world to do everything, right? So when I first started this business 9 years ago, right, I literally spent 18 hours to 20 hours a day at the store. And I could do that. Number one, I had the most understanding girlfriend, now wife at the time, but no kids. The store was everything that I was doing. So living and breathing there and like just doing everything, renovations, marketing, like I could do everything. But as you start to grow as a business, as a company, or even as a channel or whatever you're doing, more and more things start coming into play, more and more things you're responsible for. And then if you don't schedule yourself to try to tackle it in an organized fashion, never use your ADHD brain as an excuse. Again, prime candidate number one over here in that, I am the worst when it comes to ADHD. Like just tune into any of my streams and you'll witness it happening live. It's like Taju Kakibushi no Jitsu, but in my brain, it's like, yeah, my brain, it's like, I forget Naruto's like shadow clone, like his big shadow clone jutsu where he makes like 1,000 clones. That's what happens in my brain. It just happens all the time. It just goes all over the place. But it's more like if you recognize yourself as an individual who has one, then even more so, you need to be disciplined to have yourself a schedule. And so even for me right now, this is actually more of a self-reflection than anything, but it's also a tip to all of you. Right now, I've been streaming now, I think dedicated for over 31 days now. I did over 180 hours in 30 days. Are you saying I can do more? No, on top of everything else, Amy, I've sacrificed. Sorry, so my business partner was over there and be like, you can do more. I'm like, I've sacrificed sleep. I've sacrificed communications. I've sacrificed so many things right now because I was trying to maintain that schedule. Now, I need to recognize
It was
that.
a terrible schedule.
Yeah. I essentially implemented a full-time streamer schedule on top of all the other shit that I'm responsible for. And it caused utter chaos. And attitude because I wasn't sleeping. And considering this because like my team felt it, my family felt it because I wasn't home, I was barely sleeping. But at the same time, we were okay with it for the first 30 days because we saw the numbers, we saw the growth that we were having. We're like, okay, like this is something good, but physically speaking, this is not sustainable because we're not if I was, just focusing on streaming and I just did it from home, and I didn't have a business to worry about, to be honest, I'd be fine. Like that's a great start, but that's not our case. And I started neglecting, and sorry about the random pauses, guys. I have a canker sore in my mouth, so I'm randomly pausing in the middle of my speeches here. But no, it's physically I can't do this anymore in terms of like, trying to trying to do sales oriented streams and then process the orders and then maintain my communications, maintain time with my wife, my kids, having meetings with my business partners. Like a lot of it's taking effect just because it's been all over the place. And so for me right now, I recognize that I made a challenge with the community actually. So for those who are joining me live or watching the post recording of this, I actually set myself a goal that in the next 30 days, not only am I going to implement a schedule, but follow it. And the culmination of that, if I execute it and if I do it right, I should be able to beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the game that I've been trying to play for the last few weeks, but mixing in with everything, I just haven't really been able to tackle too much. I'm 39 hours in. I'm still on chapter 4. Like it's pretty bad. But I made a commitment to the overall community, and I spoke with this with my team and my wife. And whenever you make a goal and you make a bet, right, or a punishment. So in this case, this is a self-improvement goal. That if I do not achieve what is an adequate punishment to motivate me to do it, and I've determined that I'm going to give away something in my personal collection. And I already talked to my wife about it. And she was against it at first, but after talking to her about it, she agreed with it. She doesn't want me to get through it, but that's why it's like, if I set this goal, obviously she's going to do her best to keep me accountable. My team is, and ultimately the community members are. And that is, I'm actually going to be giving away my collector's edition figures and statues for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth. So the Cloud on the Daytona, Sephiroth that came with Rebirth, as well as my 2 static art statues. So if you guys are listening to this, you guys can't see it. If you guys ever see my live stream, they're in my stream all the time. I have 2 static art statues that I bought for myself as well too. So I have 4 items that total well over $1,000 in value. That mean a lot to me. I absolutely love Final Fantasy, and I don't want to get rid of these things, but it is an adequate punishment. Because anytime you want to set yourself a goal, right? What's going to motivate you? Right? Like even like losing weight. Well, I'm gonna like, but like you always set the goal, but like, all right, if you don't hit it, you know what? All right, well, what repercussions? You could. Some people say, well, your health. I'm like, well, that's nothing immediate. For me, with this, a silly thing like a schedule and beating a game. I know a lot of you may laugh at that, but that is very important to me right now. Not beating the game, not beating the game. Like beating the game is important. Beating the game is important. Like I want to see what the ending is before anyone spoils it for me, right? So just so you guys know, in the last 9 years, here's a quick tangent. Last 9 years of running this business, I beat 1 game. 1 game only, and that was Final Fantasy VII Remake on the PS4. This was the only game, for those who are watching the video, that I beat in the last 9 years. The only game. Because that is because of my schedule, my time. I don't have time to sit there and just play games for hours on end. And so this is the only, so for me, I'm committed to try and play it. And obviously with my new schedule that I'm trying to make with streaming, I'm trying to see if I can fit in gaming into it so that I can play some other games, because I did pick up Helldivers. I did pick up Elden Ring. I need to play through Lies of P. Now, for those who are watching the videos, I have 2 copies of Helldivers and another copy of Final Fantasy VII to give away. That's a whole nother situation. But either way, though, it's me. So the bet is, by the way, so why, if I don't achieve, pretty much, if I don't beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the next 30 days, then I'll be giving those things away, because that means I didn't follow my schedule, or didn't follow my schedule, or things didn't go awry. I mean, obviously, no matter what, you can be like, well, what if life happens? Well, life happens. Like no matter what, I'm not going to let anything be an excuse, period. I mean, if I fall into a coma, then there's that. But like, okay, like there's the acts of God, okay? Acts of God will be like the valid excuse. But like ultimately little things here and there. Oh, I was tired, or I did this, or this phone call happened. Then you adjust. You always adjust your schedule as needed and stuff. This is very crucial and important to me, because I need to balance my time better. I want to sleep. I think the other day I looked at my team and I said it too. And I was just like, I'm tired of being tired. I'm exhausted. And I was crying the other day because I'm just like, I'm tired, but I feel like I'm not allowed to rest. I am not allowed to not stream because of our financial needs. And, I need to maintain the numbers and the growth. Like there was just such weight that I put on myself. And the thing is, it's rightfully so. I'm ultimately the one responsible for this entire community, this business, and my team and my family ultimately. So there's a lot of weight on me. But at the same time, oh my God, no, I didn't. Stop it. Ah, side chatter. The side chatter over there needs to stop. No, but I need to recognize that, like, me dying is not the best solution either. And so coming with a schedule where I still have an adequate time to stream with you guys, to do the business side of things. So this is what I'm going to be working on today, actually, ironically, after the podcast. So hopefully next week we can talk about, hey, how's the schedule looking? But no, ultimately, like, I want to balance out what days and how many hours do I want to dedicate to do business and sales streaming. How much time do I want to dedicate to just Q&A and just chatting streamings outside the podcast. Also, podcast times, podcast live shows, and then obviously the gaming side of it. So when I'm playing single player games, community games, and multiplayer games. So like try to figure those things out on top of special event streams I want to do for you guys. And oh my God, why so much? Why so much variety? Just because you do need to break it up. But I want to make something so that you guys have something to look forward to. So while I do not have the ability to bring a Gamers Heaven store to everyone in the country right now, the thing that I want to focus on is I can at least try to build a digital platform where you guys can come in and at least experience a part of it. And so one of the special events I want to continue is I did last week the Gamers Heaven Sleepover, which was old school style. I busted out my VHS player and we played some old school VHS anime tapes from beginning to end. So we saw the old advertisements, the old intros, the graininess of the videos, and simply it was just trying to go back to a time where it's just like you went over each other's houses and we just watched shows together. It wasn't about arguing or anything like that or debating. We just did that. And I think after talking with my community, I decided to make that a formal event where I'm going to then start making that maybe not a weekly thing, either a bi-weekly or a monthly stream time where I'll dedicate like an entire day, like an afternoon, evening, or mainly an evening, so that we can select a show to put on. You guys can join us and just marathon through with us and just relax. It won't be anything serious. I won't be doing a Q&A. It'll just be like, come in and hang out with me. I think what I determined was instead of just me sitting there and doing nothing, while that's great for my brain, my ADHD I had anxiety the entire time because I'm like, I got work to do. I got things to catch up on. I have a house to organize, right? So I'm just like, well, maybe those are the times to do it. And so whether it's here at the office, maybe I work on a project, like a personal one, like a Gunpla model or a Lego kit. So during the stream, I'm working on something and I encourage you guys to do the same. Or maybe I stream from my house and I organize the basement as we do it and stuff. There's ways for me to incorporate that so that you guys have a good time and we're also getting things done. So we're going to be working on that. And so once again, the schedule is important because then if I lock in a schedule, then my team knows when I'm going to be here, to schedule around me from. My wife no longer has to question me on a daily basis what my freaking schedule is. What, No, then she'll know because then I'll set aside time with my team for meetings and stuff afterwards and stuff. And most importantly, I'll be rested. So there'll be times where I will full stop, go home and rest and everything like that. So there's a lot of good things that'll come out of me doing all of that. And most importantly, I can start getting caught up on the business side of things. So as the spring months are about to hit us right now, and the most importantly, the summer months, it's not a crazy convention schedule or anything like that. But I have two big events that I do need to start. Actually, three events that we need to start preparing for, and that is obviously the Sakura Festival next weekend. I have the Rhode Island Anime Con that I will start promoting for very shortly here. We are taking over an entire floor and essentially bringing Gamers Heaven to Rhode Island for a weekend. You can be like, oh, it's a pop-up. It's a pop-up, but on crazy pop-up mode. And then our 9-year event celebration that we need to start planning for. Um, hmm? We'll figure that out later. But so these are things that we want to prepare for. And also for me, getting, for me, like if that schedule, like if I can start off Q2, which is April, May, June, if by the end of Q2 I'm on a proper rhythm and schedule. So I'll put it this way, even if like we don't grow as a community, right? Let's say the purple app and the red app are stagnant, right? But we were able to maintain a proper schedule. I'll count that as a win because I was at least maintain the status quo. But then I'll be focusing on Q3, which will be then July, August, September, growth strategies to grow those platforms respectively. So again, guys, for those who are listening in, my goal for the company was by the end of the year to grow the red app, so a certain channel, to 100,000 subscribers. And then on the purple one, I don't know if we could we get a check mark. I think that'd be great. That'd be cool if we could hit that by the end of the year. What? The check mark is doable. We are more than halfway there, actually. Oh wait, you don't know what our average viewers have been. Overall, it's been 45 in the last 30 days. Yes, our max viewers at any point was 130. There have been days where, so if you look at it, the average viewer on certain days, here's all the numbers for you guys. On our chart, our lowest average was like 35. Our highest average was over 75. So we've hit it in spurts. Now, if I didn't stream every day, maybe our averages would be a little bit higher, but this is what I think now. The schedule will help short bursts. So because the thing is, if I do a stream for 9 hours long, but for 3 hours that we were at 90, but then it died off at the end, I'm actually hurting us. Yep. So I what? So, oh my God, hold on, guys. Sorry, this is in the middle of the podcast recording. I am being raided by my good friend. I am Tracy Allen. Sir, I'm recording a podcast right now, and you're now ready. No, this is the post mod. It's gonna go in there. Thank you so much, guys. Welcome, Raiders. In the middle of my backstroke, my backswing. If you guys get the Stargate reference, remember the time loop? Yeah, I watched Stargate. I watched it on repeat on TV all the time. For those of you Stargate people, there's an episode where well, oh my God, why am I forgetting the captain's name? Oh my God, there you go. O'Neill and Teal go through this time loop, right? And so they get to the point where they stop caring, and then they're playing golf in front of the Stargate, and then the general's like, "O'Neill, what are you doing in the middle of my backswing?" And it starts over again. But welcome, Raiders, guys. I'm just recording a podcast, and I'm talking about the importance of a schedule in whether not just business, your personal life, and if you're a content creator, whatever you're doing. Having a schedule, having a base foundation is very useful to have. And I was just talking about why I've been focusing on trying to do it. But enough of that. If you guys want to be a part of this next topic, and this is where this will be the transition into the Q&A portion of the podcast here. It's actually gonna be. I'm going to talk about Dune, Dune Part 2. Not Star Wars typical. Stop it over there. I just watched it finally this past Sunday in IMAX and 70 millimeter. I was a big fan of the books. I watched the original 1984 movie. I watched Part 1. Obviously, I've been waiting. I was like, I've been so excited for Part 2, and so I watched Part 2, and I wanted to kind of talk about it here and kind of my thoughts about it. So not a formal review. I'm not going to give you guys a score in terms of like watch it or not watch it. Totally up to you. but I mainly wanted to talk about why I personally loved the movie. I didn't get the sandworm popcorn bucket. I ended up getting the Regal Cinemas one because I watched it at Regal Cinemas. So no, but ultimately, guys, I loved it. I absolutely loved may your tangents chip and shatter. That's the best comment. And I just got it. May your chip and shatter. Oh my god, that's actually one of the best comments I just got during this stream here. No, but in all honesty, guys, I loved it. You know, there's been people complaining about um the deviations from the books, from the original movies, and all this other stuff. But ultimately, guys, like, I didn't mind it because it actually addresses the, like, when you adapt a book to a movie, sometimes there are certain things that it is not that it's impossible to do, that it may not translate correctly. So I'm gonna warn all of you right now. Actually, while you're up, you might give me that portable fan. Once again, thank you, Rain, for the fan here. Because the door's closed, it's getting really hot. Yep. Sorry, guys. I'm adjusting my seat here because it's it gets warm in here when I record during evening hours and stuff. But no, no. I want to say this for the people who are the book purists, right? The people who are like, oh, if it doesn't follow the book, the movie's trash. And I know a lot of Harry Potter fans. There's Lord of the Rings fans, Ender's Game. There's a lot of movies that are based off of books. And ultimately, I want to say is, like, I feel like you need to separate the two. It's sort of like Final Fantasy VII Remake and the original Final Fantasy VII source material, right? The original game versus the remakes in a new medium. So whether it's upgraded technology or a book to film, there's certain things that you can and cannot do. And what I mean by cannot do is it may not come across properly. So for example, again, spoiler warning, I'm gonna start talking spoiler here. Isla Atreides. So Paul Atreides' little sister. In the book, so you gotta keep in mind, part 2 in the movie happened over course, I believe it was 8 months to a year, right? Less than a year. In the book and in the original movie, you had 2 to 3 years pass between him escaping the city and then training with the Fremen. So during that time skip in the book, his little sister is born and she's got crazy powers. And she is the one that confronts Baron Harkonnen and then kills him, right? And then they obviously brought this into the movie and the 1984 original movie. I mean, for me, I go back and I feel like it's hilarious. It's great. I love it. All right. But it's cringy. And especially if you look at the tone of how they shot Dune Part 1, the cinematography and the style, there is no proper way for you to get a 3-year-old actress to properly portray a benevolent being of great strength and and the psychic abilities and stuff like that. You can be like, well, that's what CGI is for and stuff. Like, if you watch the movie and saw how practical it was, they didn't want to use CGI doubled characters and stuff. They did everything to make it as practical as possible to maintain a certain style. And the thing is, it fit. The cinematography of Dune, I felt like, fit the story. And I sat there during part 2. I was wondering how they were going to do this, and I'm glad that they didn't, because I saw on the IMDb credits that Isla was credited. I was like, by who? I didn't see by who. But I like the way that they did it. And so I know people were complaining about it. People are like, oh, his relationship with Johnny didn't go as very well. Like, they skipped this and they skipped that. It's like, once again, you're trying to fit an entire novel into a movie structure. And I feel like the way they did it actually made sense. Right? Again, like, it's a retelling, but it makes sense in the cinematic universe. So again, in the books, it makes sense. You can just read it. Oh, time passes and she's born and all that stuff. But in the movie, so if you come to a creative decision that, okay, we can't get a 3-year-old actress in here to do this right. There's no visual way to make this right. A CG character, a CG double won't look as good and right, especially with the costume designs, the aesthetic that we want. It's not going to happen right. So how do we write her out of it? So then let's go ahead and make sure that this entire training arc and him reuniting with Gurney and everyone happens in less than a year, so that his mom doesn't have to give birth to his sister. And you see that in the movie. She is pretty much in the late stages of her pregnancy by the end of the movie, and they still incorporate her by having her talk to her brother via her mother, right? So she's very powerful. So she's very aware. She speaks because of, Lady Jessica drinking the water. Isla essentially drinks it, so she awakens her power, so she's able to talk and everything. So to be honest, I actually didn't mind it. I love the little quirks that they had between each other and how she was very integral in terms of the actions that happen. And then obviously, if you saw the movie, Paul has a vision of his little sister all grown up in the future, and so I thought that was a great way to introduce her, because if you guys read the books, their relationship later on is important as well too. Later on, it's quite tragic actually too, but I won't get into that. There was a lot more differences in the books that you can talk hours upon hours to, but ultimately I know that was one of the biggest ones that they had. I didn't mind it. I thought Timothy. I'm forgetting his last name all of a sudden, but the actor who played Paul Atreides, I thought he killed it. I liked how he portrayed it in book one, in part one. And then I haven't really seen any of his other movies other than Wonka, which I watched with my wife and kids. And I was like, I wonder how he's going to handle Charlemagne. That's right, Timothy Charlemagne. How he's going to handle his speech to the Council of the Fremen. And then when he confronts the Reverend Mother at the end of the movie, when he's confronting the Emperor, right? Ultimately, I love the scenes, especially in the IMAX theater. Oh my God, he killed it. He absolutely killed the speech. I was a little disappointed that the speech was cut short, because in the book it goes longer. He addresses like every tribe leader. People are like arguing with him, and he shouts back, and he owns everyone. But I actually kind of hope that they release like an extended version of that scene, because that scene could have been like at least 5 to 10 minutes longer. But I hope they release an extended version. But even if they kept it short and simple, beautifully done. He owned it. Like, he literally owned it. Like, and the way he portrayed his energy, like, you'd be like, how, like, he's still, like, you have tough guys be like, oh, he's still this skinny, scrawny dude. I would never be afraid of him. Like, no, it's not about how big or buff you are. It's about how you channel your energy and your dominance on someone. And he nailed it. Like he was just like the line that always gets me. It's just like, I am the person your mothers warned you about. And right now you are sitting there thinking to yourself, could he be the one? Right. And it's just like, oh my God. The one line though, that here's one of the disappointments I did have though in the movie. They got rid of the one line that I wish he said to the Reverend Mother at the during his, before the fight at the end, and they put it in the original, in the 1984 movie. But when he says silence to the Reverend Mother, right? Number one, he killed it there too. Like when he uses the voice on her to tell her to be silent, like epic. And I wish he followed it up, and I'm fingers crossed there's an extended version of the movie where he literally tells her, because in the book and in the original 1984 movie, he does the whole like, I dare you to look in the place that you dare not look. because I will be there staring back at you. Like, you know how epic that line is? Like, and I wish she threw that in there. Like, or if they did, God, please release an extended version of this movie because he just owns her. Now, I also, the final fight too, by the way, it was beautifully done. Again, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I came out of there smiling, loved it, was thankful to the movie. I loved it. And if it ended right there, we'd be fine. But just so you guys know, he doesn't struggle in the book. He flat out owns the Harkonnen dude. Flat out. But overall, man, I can't like, it is a very long movie. It is very slow paced, but it's like, I feel like it was paced all right. I thoroughly enjoyed all of it though. And I actually, for me, like, if it wasn't for my scheduling and, you know, I would love for my wife to experience it in IMAX as well too. But with our kids' schedules, it doesn't make sense. And I couldn't take my kids to watch the movie because they would not sit through that entire film. And so eventually I'll watch it with her at my house on Blu-ray. So I do have part one, so we can watch part one together at least. So that's something that will work towards and stuff too. But beautifully filmed. I do recommend if you can watch it still on 70 millimeter to do so. Still a little bit higher. It's not a little bit lower for this one. It was definitely fine, but it was definitely just epic. I want someone to create two parts of the same movie. One would have it for word, exactly like the book. It could be multiple. I mean, that would take an immense amount of resources to do, but I would prefer, I mean, I wouldn't mind that either. I'm kind of right there with you. Like, that'd be kind of nice if someone could do that. But you know, not quite the reality that we're dealing with and everything, but but apparently they greenlit the next movie already. So Messiah of Dune, I'm actually like kind of like, I'm here for the Holy War. Like, I'm totally down. And also the people who are, I want to talk about this. Let's talk about the people who are bitching and complaining about how like, number one, they're like, oh, another white savior movie, or they were disappointed that he wasn't the hero, he was an anti-hero at the end, or he was actually the villain by the end of the movie. Like, I get, I'll put it this way, like, I was initially mad at those people first, but then I understood. You know, you're watching, you know, if you didn't read the books or understood this person's character, if you're just watching it as it, you're like, oh, he should have just gotten his revenge and protected the people and everything like that. Like, I get where those people were coming from, but I need for people to understand the source material. Or at least go watch a recap so you understand. Because I'm thinking the movie does explain it, but obviously it doesn't take the time to really explain why he had to do what he had to do in order to bring peace into the universe in existence and to save Dune, to get it back to its green. Like, I hope you guys realize, to return Dune to where it needs to be, like with the, lush lands and water, the dude's got to nuke the planet, like use the entire atomics to nuke the planet over and over and over and over to terraform it. But that's later on. But keep in mind, so for those of you who watched the movie, if you missed it, if you felt like you were disappointed with his character, he saw past, present, and all possible futures. So he Doctor Strange time stone all the possible futures. You know how like Doctor Strange was like, there is one way to victory. It's the same thing with Paul. His inaction versus his actions and the decisions he decides to take. He saw all the possible outcomes. He saw himself. Like, you're fully aware of all the multiple branches and timelines. And the route that he chose was like, no, this has to happen so that, my son, Leto 2, can bring peace to the Empire. So, by the way, like, just so you know, like, Paul does not have like a happy-go-lucky ending. Like, it's sad. Like, if you read the books, and I'm not sure how far they're going to take the movies or anything like that, but just know that, like, I think, actually, chat, please let me know if you agree with my statement or not. For those that know the story, his son is Lelouch. Lelouch Vivi Britannia from Code Geass. And if you understand the reference that I just made, you'll get it. And it makes perfect sense. If you've never watched Code Geass, just know that the main character is actually the hero, but he's also the anti-hero. And so what Paul, and here's the last spoiler talk I'll do before we go into the Q&A. Sorry, this is why I love this story. Paul's son essentially rules the galaxy for over 1,000 years with an iron fist. He's a dictator to the max, but he brings peace. But his goal the entire time was to take on all the hatred and anger and the sense of free, like pretty much like he wants to oppress the galaxy so much and draw all eyes on him for the hatred so that the galaxy can then rekindle its sense of freedom, its longingness for peace and everything. And so by channeling all their energy towards him and then eventually overthrowing him and killing him, the universe shall know peace, right? And so that was the goal the entire time the families had, that he had. And I bring peace and freedom and justice to my new empire. Your new empire. Sorry. Comment on my Patreon page here. No, but it's quite a tragic story, but if you think about it, you know, it makes sense. And if you watch Code Geass, it's the very thing that he did in order to bring peace. Now there's more stories and books after that and stuff, but like I think a lot of people don't realize how true to the world that this movie was. Politics and power and business, how it corrupts people and individuals, how it makes them make decisions that they may necessarily not want to do, right? In order to protect themselves. Self-preservation is a huge thing in this movie. And, you know, you see it in the Emperor. He didn't want to do what he did. He didn't want to betray, you know, the Duke like he did and stuff. Like he saw him as a son, but he had to in order to protect his power and his family. And then there's just so much like, I encourage those people who watch the movie and didn't like it to rewatch it with the mentality of like, what would you do in that position if you were in his position? Like, oh yeah, and let's not talk about how Leto becomes the worm. Let's not talk about that. That's gonna be interesting if they actually get to that part of the movie. Children of Dune, let's go. No, it's just I appreciate everybody. I love how they addressed the whole blind faith thing. So once again, like the people who get offended by that, they see that and like, oh my God, that's so fiction. That will never happen. I'm like, you need to look yourself into the mirror then. The whole blind faith and how religion and stuff, like people can plant seeds of bestowment and like these, you know, in the movie, the prophecy, right? That Bene Gesserit went in preemptively to start laying the seeds and the foundation, the groundwork for Paul's ultimate uprising, right? They planted the seeds. So whenever they saw even the most basic sign, they freaked out because that's what they were worshiping and praying towards. But then you see that counter against it, how they're like, blind faith is what will get them enslaved and all this other stuff. And you see it happen. Like even Paul's there he knows the possible future that if he goes down a certain path, like billions of people will die, AKA children of Messiah and his holy war. A lot of people end up dying because of the war and the crusade that he sets upon. And he was actively trying not to do it. Like he even sat there and was like, you know, my mom's trained to do that. It's not a miracle that she survived. Like she's literally like she's manipulating. He even flat out tells them like, you know, she's manipulating you, right? She knows how to like fight this. So she was never going to die, but they don't care. How many times have you guys seen people, they are so adamant about a position, even when they're faced with the actual truth, the science, the evidence, and all this other stuff, they're like, well, I don't care about that. I'm going to believe what I believe no matter what you say. And it's just like, you see it being addressed in the movies. And again, I encourage you, if you are offended by that, you kind of need to look yourself in the mirror. and he's trying to bring like again, he's trying to save out all out war, and he's trying to save all these people from dying, but he's just like ultimately he's got to do what he's got to do, and then ultimately you see him take the role of the villain. Um, and sometimes you see it happen, right? You see it happen to people in real life where someone's like, I'm really against being like this person. I'm against doing this, against doing this, against doing this. But when it comes down to the line, like self-preservation, you got to take care of your family, your people, your children. Some people end up crossing the line, making the decisions that you're like, because how many times have you guys seen people, you're like, oh, you know, they'll say one thing and then they all of a sudden they're a different person because they have adapted a certain lifestyle. And they're like, well, I had to do what I had to do. And again, not to sit here and name names or anything like that, but again, like it's a reflection of that. And so the fact that you see elements of that from a book that was written in the 60s, like again, hats off to Frank Herbert. It's a great read. Again, if you guys ever get a chance to, I encourage you to go read the books. But I thought the movie was it was a great adaptation. Again, thoroughly enjoyed it, enjoyed every minute of it. I would, if I could, I would want to go watch it again, and then just take it from there. With that said, guys, so let's go into the next portion of the podcast here, which is the Q&A portion here. So where I sit here and answer questions that you guys may have. So once again, for those of you guys are on the one certain app, I'm over on the purple one. And as well as for our Patreon members on Discord as well too. So if you guys want to go ahead and ask any questions you guys may have, whether it's about nerd related stuff, gaming, anime, life, business, I'm kind of here to answer any and all questions. Go from there, and then there's no questions to ask. We can either end the stream early, or I can keep on talking about some other things. But while I wait for the questions to be kind of like queued up or anything like that, just want to talk about too really quick plans for kind of next week. So you guys will know this. So for those of you who are, like, I'll be waiting for my schedule to be made later. The first part of next week, just want to let you guys know. So if you guys are listening to this post recording or watching the video, it's already going to be done. But we're doing some additional major moves in the store. So we're completely moving the esports area to a different side of the building. We are doing some major rewiring of the electricity. We are redoing a major portion of the retail section, and just kind of redirecting flow of traffic, just because number one, we've noticed some bottlenecking problems in the last few weeks with the renovations that we did not that long ago. And then when you amplify that by a lot of people potentially coming in, that's going to end up creating a lot of choke points that you don't want necessarily happening. And so we are addressing that by, doing some major moves. So that's going to be literally 2 to 3 days. I apologize. Hold on a sec, guys. Okay. I got a fan running back here. No, so the first few days is going to be me actually restructuring the store to do that. So I know that my stream schedule is going to take a little bit of the hit in the beginning, just because we got to do that to get ready for the April 6th event. And speaking of the April 6th event, someone just asked a question about that. I'd rather just point you to looking at the advertisements online, the videos online, just because it's going to be irrelevant to future people listening to this video. So we'll talk about something else there. But for those who are wondering why we are hosting that event, it's because during our 8-year anniversary event, people loved it so much. Obviously, they had their feedbacks for us, of which we listened to a lot of, and a lot of room for improvement. But overall, people really enjoyed it in the local community. They asked that, like, hey, is there any way to have more of these throughout the year? So we started thinking about, do we do like a biannual type thing where we do one in the spring and one in the summer, and then maybe one late fall to get ready for the winter season? So we'll have to see there. What is something that you learned in the last few years that you wish you knew in the beginning? That is actually a great question. Patience. To be honest, patience is something I wish, the patience that I have now and now prepared to do, I wish I had back when we went first viral on TikTok 4 years ago. And it's crazy that this September, it'll be 4 years since we went viral on TikTok. It's already been 4 years since COVID. Um, Patience is something I wish I had. Patience to not rush it, patience to look at the bigger picture, patience to, instead of trying to will it into existence, sit back, finish recovering, build the foundation that we need, hire on the team, get more investments on board. Like, make sure you build the proper foundations instead of just going forward with it and stuff. No, it's been implemented. For someone just asked what happened to that business plan. Did you take the money and run? No, I'm clearly still sitting here. We did not run anywhere. It was all spent the way we had disclosed. We actually had to report that spending to the IRS and everything, and to the SEC. So it wasn't a pump and run type situation like some of these crypto scammers have been doing to all of y'all. No, no, we've all the investments that did come in the beginning. So for those that didn't understand, in year one of the franchising side of the business, so back in 2020 to 2021, all that money went into, and I'm assuming you meant that question, Daniel, in a positive light and not the negative one that I'm reading it as. But no, in year one, we raised about $150,000. So from 2020 to 2021, that went into the franchising costs. So the consultation, the legal fees, the state registrations, the manual, all of that there. And then the additional money that we raised in 2021 went into the office side, distribution center, marketing, convention shows, and so forth. And then the most recent one, we reinvested back into, obviously, paying off the distribution debt that we had, closing facilities, and then the last bit of travel and stuff like that. Like, it all went back into it. Oh, you did it. You did it meaning as a joke. Okay. Like, it's hard to portray when there's no emojis attached to it or anything like that. But no, ultimately, guys, but again, patience is something that I wish I learned. Well, like, you should have had it. Like, it's like, no, we made the decisions at the time that we thought that was, again, with the information that we had, the opportunity that we had with the videos going viral, like, we hit the iron while it was hot. And again, at the time, like, it's easy to say in hindsight, oh, you should have just waited, right? It's easy to say that. But in the moment, when you have an opportunity like that in front of you, with people wanting to open up the business and doing all these things, it is up to you whether or not you want to take the risk or not. The people always say fortune favors the bold. And again, it's always easy to speak in hindsight. It's like, you should have known better at this point and stuff like that. And there's all this other stuff. But ultimately, though, I still wish, again, patience is something that I wish I had. And we will then, we'll revisit that later on and stuff like that. But it's, I am now taking my time in the rebuild process, but still not giving on the expansion side of things, just making sure that we have proper foundations in place before we do so. Question one. I know it's a podcast now, so you don't have to answer, but do you remember? Oh, okay. So guys, please be careful with your questions. Again, this is the podcast questions. So if it's a personal orders and stuff, please keep it towards the other side of things there. There are times when you are so overwhelmed with the business that you're considered closing the shop. Oh, are there times? Yes. So once again, are there times where you're so overwhelmed with the business that you consider closing the shop? Many times. In the last 9 years, many, many, many times. And some people may be like, oh my God, he's thinking about closing the business. He's a failure once again. No. If you talk to any business owner, any streamer, any content creator, everybody has those days. And it's more, what are you looking for? Sorry about that, pause, guys. No, but you'll notice that a lot of business owners will face that in terms of wanting to quit, because burnout is very, very real. no matter what you're doing, period. So whether it's your own channel, your business, content creating, your job, life, burnout happens. Obviously, when you run your own business, it's exacerbated to the max, because now your livelihood is determined by your direct actions, period. You know, you are, in terms of like, once again, like, you know, whether it's, you know, let's say you make a decision and it goes bad, that weighs on you, right? And then a lot external forces weigh on you. So a lot of you who sit there and dream like, I wish I had my own business, it'd be so much better. You are not seeing the other side of that. You're not seeing the true essence of what that means. You're like, oh, I hate working for a company. And not to say that it's a, you know, I'm not, okay. What I'm about to say here, please do not take it as I'm endorsing you to work for a company. But when you work for a company that's established, especially, there are foundations in place. There are structures and there's support networks in place for you to thrive there. You can be like, well, I don't make as much money, but you know what? You know, like, how many business owners out there would love to take like a $50,000 salary with health benefits and vacation time and a proper schedule? You know how many people would jump on that for their own business if they could have that? There are so many people that would. Like being able to afford group rate insurance, right? When I worked for the last company I worked at, the Vanguard Group, my insurance for my entire family, dental, vision, health, great health plan, by the way, amazing health plan that I had, cost me $150 a month from my paycheck to take care of my entire family. Right now, if I want the same exact policy as a small business owner, $970 a month. And sorry, the quote that I recently just got was $1,200 a month just to get that same coverage as a private business owner. Well, then obviously your answer is then get a cheaper plan, go to a smaller one, get a cheaper insurance rate. That's fine. Okay, yeah, we could. The lowest decent one that I found was like $300 some per person. So we're still looking at $1,200 a person. You should just go lower. Then at that point, what's the point of having it? Like, obviously we have a plan. We got the cheapest one we can, but like, I avoid going to the hospital. I haven't gotten a checkup in 9 years because I can't afford to. You know, it's just like, these are things that, you know, you have to look out for. There are things that you avoid. There's things that you cut. And no, there is a, you saw the fan on chair. No, the one thing you guys have to understand, like, so these are the kind of things that weigh on you when you're running it. So what, it's not just that. Is if business is slow, or if your content creator, if your viewership is down, your videos are getting suppressed, your podcast that you just launched or the video that you just uploaded is not getting the views that you had hoped. And, you know, there are people who literally quit their livelihoods to start off on their journeys, whether it's business, content creation, streaming. There's people who do that. And then they immediately go back because it doesn't happen. They don't make it in the first day. And trust me, there are people who literally give up after a day. It's scary to see the lack of commitment from some people. And there are people who are like, well, I quit my job to do this. Of course I should be making it right now. It's not about what you did to start. It's about what you do. And you guys see, there's examples of it constantly. You guys see streamers who are like, I stream 12 hours a day, so I should be getting these views. I should deserve this. Like, you don't deserve anything. In the business and especially the entertainment world, ladies and gents, nothing is guaranteed. All right, you're not guaranteed, or you have no right or no deserve of anything. You know, obviously, when you see someone working like crazy hours and sacrificing all this, like, it's easy for you to say, of course you deserve this. They deserve that. They deserve that. Yeah, but that's not how the world works. You know, again, just because you put hundreds of hours, thousands of hours into something doesn't mean you deserve it. All right? I think that's family man, you know it, brother. Like, because guess what? There are thousands of other people doing the same exact thing that you are. What sets you apart? And especially in the streaming, cosplaying, content creation, business world, that's something that I'm not going to sit here and answer for you, that no one can answer for you. You need to come up with that. Period. But last thing, because I went off to a major tangent once again, I've come across many times where I want to quit. I'm not going to sit here and list all the times where it really affected me the most. But the most recent one was actually a few months ago, actually. I won't talk about the exact situation. But for me, the thing that keeps me going is it's actually you guys. And you guys heard me say this answer before. You need to, by the way, when you start a project, business, content creation, channel streaming, whatever it is, what is the reason you are doing it? And make sure it's a solid one. Because if you sit there and it's like, it's all about the money, then you're going to find yourself quitting very, very quickly. For me, I started this business because I always wanted to build a second home for the community, a place I wish I had growing up, a place that I never had the privilege of having that would have probably saved me. You know, once again, if it wasn't for a few individuals in my life, I would not be sitting here right now. But furthermore, had I had a place like this, a community like this, and I'm trying to cultivate and help build, I may not ever have had to get to that point. And you can sit here and say, well, you know what? Like, if you're like, well, sorry, I just had to gather my thoughts there for a second. A lot of people can sit there and it's like, well, why should you do it? Because people look at my business and they're like abject failure. And it's fine, it's valid, and those opinions are valid. I don't discredit those people who look at my business and say that. Obviously, a lot of things I've done haven't worked out. All right, and then the people who are telling me you should just close, then are you offering anything better? If you do, then I'll gladly stop and allow you to take over so you can do the very thing that I set out to do. If not, please step aside. No, for me, I've come across those moments. I always go back to just like, because I built this business, and for me, like, it's the people that I built it for is the one that keep me grounded and keep me going. The Kevin O'Learys and the Shark Tanks of the world would say I'm crazy. 9 years of doing this, and I am not overly successful right now. I'm a failure. This is a hobby. I have no right to be running a business. And that's what those people would say. But ultimately, though, we have people who rely on this place. Many relationships, marriages, there are children who are in existence right now because of this place. There are friendships across the board that have happened because of this place that are now starting to happen digitally as well, too. We have given hope to some people. You know, the fact that I have not given up on expanding across the country, and yes, still being willing to tackle again Denver and my former Seattle place. Like, I still have a drive to go out there. And the moment that I give up, I'm giving up on all of those people. All of those people who are waiting for me to still accomplish that. And whether I hit setbacks or not, they are watching my journey. So if I keep continuing on pushing forward, it still continues to give them hope. Now, obviously, I don't need to keep having, speaking of blind faith from earlier from Dune, I can't just sit there and be like, all right, I just got to keep on going it. Like, it's also foolish of me to say, I just got to keep on going the way I have been and I'll make it. No, no, no. Family man, I am definitely not giving up on Denver. Do not worry, brother. We are still very much I'm looking at every city, guys. I'm still not giving up. But I also need to recognize that the way I have been doing things, the last 9 years, I said this back in April of last year. It's almost been a year since we stopped franchising. We put a pause on everything. I had to recognize that what I was doing, the way I was doing it, the way I was handling everything was not working. Between the store, how I was doing things digitally, content relation-wise, everything, I wasn't doing it right. And I had to admit that. You are fucking up. This isn't working. Now, from there, What are the decisions that we need to make right now in order for us to start repairing this? I have to recognize I need to go back to the drawing board to rebuild our foundations, to rebuild our support and everything. Like, you have to recognize that. And if you can't, you'll never grow. I had to sit there and dissect us apart. I had arguments with my team because they didn't want to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. You still don't want to hear it. She still refuses to acknowledge the decisions that we actually have to do. But keep in mind, I always present DEFCON 1. You have to, as a business, you always need to be able to prepare for what is the worst case scenario. And are you prepared for that decision? Okay. And then the very next step after that is, how do we avoid DEFCON 1 and not do those things? But my team always falls into this trap of, he only wants to do DEFCON 1. That's all he talks about because no one accepts it. Like, no, I have to. You have to bring up the worst case scenario. What is the nuclear option? Okay, cool. Are you prepared for the nuclear option if we're faced with it? Yes. Okay, cool. Now, how do we avoid it? How do we avoid the nuclear option is then how we've always been, by the way. And then from there, you start focusing on and if you guys remember the song from Frozen 2, Anna's song, when she lost Olaf, she lost her sister, she was in a dark cave, and she was, no, she was about to break, and she was about to give up, and then she starts singing the next right thing. Just do one thing at a time. Like, you have your focal goal, but sometimes when everything crashes around you, and I really do love that song, because when everything seems to be failing and crashing around you, you just want to give up. Nothing seems to be going right? You're like, my dream is now further away than it's ever been. Then the best thing for you to do at that moment is, what's the next right move? And doesn't have to be towards that goal. For me, right, like I think there was one stream a few months ago where I was spiraling. I was spiraling out of control. First step to do was stop streaming, go get some sleep, grab breakfast with my wife, spend time with my children, start looking at some of the more positive comments and videos. And again, just one step at a time, and then get back to where you need to be. Not just physically, but mentally and emotionally, to then tackle that problem head on. That's what you got to do. And again, that was a very long ass answer to the quitting thing. But yeah, I faced many times where I wanted to quit, guys. And it's just, but again, you guys always keep me grounded, and especially for me these days, it's not even just a community anymore. It's the friendships that are starting to be made across the board. Once again, and it's just, and if I quit now, I'm quitting on everyone, and I'm quitting on potentially some great friendships and lifelong friendships that can happen and stuff. You never know. The days you guys want to quit, guys, you never know what might be on the other side. Yes. Guys, I'm in the middle of a podcast. Guys, you guys are my fans. Stop sending me fans. I don't need more fans. I am hot. This room is extremely hot, yes. But like, they keep sending me fans. I'm good now. I'm good. Like, the fan service is getting unreal.
It's funny because he's sitting there really, really hot. Meanwhile, I'm sitting.
Yeah, but by the way, for those who are listening to this, someone just mailed us a fan, like hand delivered a fan to us from Target. What the hell? The fan service. You know what it's going to be? Eventually, I'm just going to have fans behind me and be like, wow, look at all the gamers having fans back there.
Andrew.
We no longer have an OnlyFans. We now have fans.
we have fans.
We have fans for our OnlyFans. All right, let me get back to it. All right.
Supposed to be there a week ago.
All right, let me get back to questions, guys. God, this is why this is a test episode. So you know what? This is a test episode. But a quick shout out to my friends. I am Tracy Allen for rating me earlier, as well as family man Joe. Guys, if he's still in the chat here, please go check him out. Not only on his Twitch, but his Instagram, where he's the most active. He just launched a new podcast with his friends. Honestly, I haven't been able to tune into his podcast, but the few clips and the episodes I've seen, absolutely love it. Love the energy. And we'll see about maybe some potential collaborations in the future. We'll see here, but definitely go check him out, guys. Want to just give you guys a quick shout out, like obviously, and it's just been. I'll put it this way. One last thing, guys. We talked about what's the one thing that you'll learn, if you learned in the last few years that you would take back with you. I wouldn't change anything because, yeah, this is the first fan rain. I have it behind me because it's hot in my back is no, but I wouldn't change anything. Like, trust me, as much as I would love to, financially and stress and everything like that. And you don't know where we would be, but to be honest, like, I wouldn't have the friendships that I have now if it wasn't for those experiences, to be honest. The interactions and the experience that I have now too. Had I not gone through all that, I would not have these experiences now. And who I am right now, and the decisions that I am actually making right now. I made a very difficult one earlier today, actually. No, not that. The other thing. Yeah. There are certain decisions that the decision I made today, like, again, not going into detail, but it's something that goes against my fundamental character. And just so you guys know, like, for me, I've had to learn to become a little bit ruthless. Not the oh no, he sold himself out. He's a typical he's the typical dick, like CEO business owner. He's just another evil one. No. But you need to have a little bit of that. You cannot let everything go. You cannot let people roll over you. Otherwise, they will always roll over you and get away with things and stuff like that. You need to protect the family. And so if you need to kill, you got to kill. You know what I mean? Like, not figuratively, metaphorically. Not actually kill anyone. But it's something that I've had to adopt. And for me, it still hurts me inside that I'm doing this. But ultimately, like, it's either me or you. And so it's kind of what it is. And so, that's how it is there. Let me look at some of the other questions that were asked. Let's see here. Scrolling up here, we'll do a few more questions. You guys are now chatting. If the One Piece is okay, One Piece is a friend. Oh, okay, stop it. Okay, we're not talking about the friends you made along the way. Wow, there's really no other questions asked. I think we're caught up. Was that asked? Who asked that? Oh, once again, I got to move the entire esports section to the rear of the building. I got to move all the electrical lines to reassess for the cafe space. But we're trying to open up space for the cafe area because, no, we didn't hit our financial goals yet, but we need to make the space ready so that as we get the new furniture pieces, the new flooring, new everything, new aesthetics, we can properly place it. So that's all being moved. I got to move the TVs over. I got to redo the entire networking for the PC side of things. I have to move an entire gondola system over to a new area. So I had to take it all apart, take all the product down, take apart all the shelves, take apart the lighting, move it all, reset it all up. Got to get all that done. I got to move all the arcade machines. We got to move all the fridges. Sorry. Yeah, write that down. But next question. Seeing as you're already currently expanding to other states, not currently, we're back to square one. What is your goal for that for the franchise growth? Do you plan on going international? So, Steamy, well, just so you know, um, we've taken a pause on the expansion because we're in the middle of restructuring the entire core business model. So we're in the middle of that. Like right now, like through our funding opportunities from our online, so the online sales goals, the stream goals, and the investments that we're taking in, we're in the middle of remodeling the entire business right now. If I got like a blank check for like $1 million tomorrow, we would fully gut and remodel this building. But that's not where I'm at right now. So we're making do with what we have. But there are certain core changes that I have to do in this business model to adapt to the current marketplace. Now, I'm not going to share that here or in a public setting because I got to keep some things proprietary, but just know that the landscape has changed immensely in the last 4 years. And it's still going to continue to change in the upcoming years as well. And so I need to be prepared for that. And so that is what we are currently working on. And with that, once that is done, and then on top of that, we get additional resources and funding to hire on the team and the core team that we need to work on expansions. That is when I'm going to be revisiting the expansion side of the business. So whether that's looking to expand across the country again, and so forth. But yes, going international is something that I definitely want to do down the line. And just so you guys know, too, the one thing I will share, too, is I'm actually currently in active negotiations for a new building right now. So the home store will still be here and everything, but what is the next evolution of Gamers Heaven? When's the capsule hotels, the Korean barbecue, and all these other ideas that I had? When are they going to come into place? Well, I may have found the perfect building for that. And so I'm in the middle of negotiating that right now. But if that allows me to then do so, then I can start promoting for new investment rounds later on because now you guys have a place where you know the money's going towards and everything. So what are the goals you have for... What are some goals that you have next for your store, for the business to get done first? The restructuring. So the thing I just mentioned, the restructuring needs to get done so we can diversify our income portfolio. And the biggest thing is shifting our food sales from being 30 to 40% of our revenue to 60 to 70% of our revenue. So more than doubling our food sales is what our goal is here. So we have a couple of things that are going to start next week and hopefully should start helping out with that, but we shall see what that becomes. Yeah. No, I don't want to right now. Do you think restructuring of the business that you would have to move buildings or somewhere? Oh, so the restructuring is using within our current format. So the two things I'm trying to do right now, if I can tackle both this year, restructuring the home store. So our store is a 7,000 square foot store, but if I restructure it properly, we can properly compartmentalize the different aspects of the business so that later on when we want to expand, we can adjust it for 1,000 to 10,000 square feet. That is what we're trying to work on this space here. The bigger space I'm looking at is over 25,000 square feet. So more than triple the size of our current store. And that's where I'm trying to look into like, okay, that will be our big one. That is our round one Dave & Buster size business that we will expand across the country. And that's what I'm looking at separately for that one. So there are many different things that we're trying to approach, but the biggest thing is going to be when we are ready to expand again, we're just prepared for the size, shape, or location, and so forth. Gamers Heaven with laser tag, but every time you get hit, that's definitely something we can't do there. That'd be kind of funny though. Since you are restocking in the near future, can you give us a taste of some of the items that will be available? Yes. Go to goodsmile.com or Good Smile Company. Look at their website. All of that. Gundams, all of that. Once we hit our funding goals, guys, so I think that right now we are close to the 1 tier. The next tier after that actually takes care of our inventory woes because then we will be fully caught up with our distributors so we can finally finally get some new stuff in for you guys. But as you guys already know, that we are not waiting just for that to diversify product for you guys. We are partnering up with other retail brands, clothing brands, like we did with Schwa, and we are actively doing right now, to offer you guys some new product and everything like that. So we're definitely working on that. So, but other than that, is there any other questions? I will open it up to TikTok as well too. There's only a couple of you there, but I'll be more than happy to answer some questions you guys have there as well. When you get to that point of having the capsule hotels, would you have parking for semi trucks? Dracos, yes. Not all the locations, but the one that I'm looking at right now will definitely have truck parking. So we will definitely have enough room for semi trucks. Um, all right. Well, where's the store located? Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. That is where our one store located is at right now. Well, with that said, guys, I think we're gonna go ahead and end it a little bit early here. So so with that said, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I want to do a quick shout out to all our Patreon members. So bear with me here really quick. So quick shout outs to. So right now for our Patreon. Oh, oh, okay. No, so once again, for those, so again, to all of those people who support us through our Patreon page, they have dubbed themselves the PP Gang, aka the Patreon people. So they not only do they get credits, but there's some special shout outs to be happened. So the shout out tier starts at the Paladin tier. So we're going to start off with Luna Raven, Blackfin 7047, Motal, Shadow King 2, Outline Spring, It's Lurker, The Lake Vape God, and Samodo. Our Archangel members, D Levo and Geek Treat 14. And then our crazy Just Because tier. I'm going to come up with a different name for you guys later on. Shadowblade Elite, Emerald City, Ryujin 00, Jungle Scorpion Anya, and Tokyo 8533. And we just had this person sign up the other day, the I have to try tier. I put that out there as a silly, like no one would ever do this, but I need to try. So they get the Azia. Thank you very much for your epic tier. And to all the rest of the knights and warriors, thank you guys for your guys' support. We are able to do what we do because of all of you. That's the wrong screen. Sorry, guys. That's the wrong screen. We are able to do what we do because of all your guys' contributions, all the improvements that you guys have seen technology-wise. Like they are the reason. Everything from the mic, the arm, the desk, the speaker system, the Steam Decks, the sound mixers, the lights, the cameras, everything is from them to get our production value up for you guys so that we can not just serve you better, but it's just so much there. And so with that said, guys, just again, thank you guys to all the Patreon members. Once again, you guys are absolutely amazing. We appreciate you guys, everything that you guys do. And then we'll see you guys during next week's. Next week will be 0.2 because we're going to keep on testing this format and everything. But if you guys want to watch, if you guys missed the rest of the stream here, feel free to go back and this will be posted onto YouTube. So on our YouTube channel, Gamers Heaven Andrew, there is a podcast section where this will be uploaded and saved for you guys and everything. So